My brother tried to steal my college fund, and my parents let him. I found out when I went to pay tuition and discovered the account was empty. $127,000 that my grandparents left specifically for my education, gone. My brother used it to start a business venture, and my parents signed off on it because he's more likely to succeed than me. I, 20F, am a junior at a pretty good state university studying engineering. I'm on track to graduate with honors. I work part-time, I'm on the dean's list, I'm doing everything right. My brother, Kyle, 24M, dropped out of community college after one semester, has never held a job for more than 6 months, and lives in my parents' basement playing video games and talking about his entrepreneur mindset. Guess which one of us my parents think is going places? If you guess Kyle, you win a prize. The prize is crippling anxiety and trust issues. Here's the background. My maternal grandparents passed away when I was 10. They left money for both Kyle and me, $130,000 each, specifically earmarked for education in a trust. The money was supposed to be released when we turned 18, managed by my parents as trustees until we turned 25, at which point any remaining funds would be ours outright. When I turned 18 and started college, my parents told me the fund was there for tuition, room and board, books, everything I needed. Don't worry about money, Dad said. Focus on your studies. Your grandparents wanted you to get a good education. I did exactly that. I checked the account balance occasionally. Everything seemed fine. I was careful with money, anyway. I worked part-time to cover personal expenses, only used the fund for actual education costs. I wanted to make it last all 4 years. This fall, I'm starting my junior year. Tuition was due September 15th. I logged into the trust account on September 10th to transfer money to the university. Balance, $847.32. I stared at the screen. That couldn't be right. There should have been at least $60,000 left. I refreshed the page. Same number. I called the bank. They confirmed $847.32 was the current balance. There must be a mistake, I said. Can you check the transaction history? They pulled it up. Over the past 14 months, there had been massive withdrawals. $15,000 here, $22,000 there, $8,000, $31,000. All authorized by my parents as trustees. What were these for? I asked. I don't have that information, ma'am. You'd need to ask the account trustees. I called my parents immediately. Mom answered. Mom, where's my college fund? What do you mean? The trust account. It's empty. Where did the money go? Silence. Then, oh, we were going to talk to you about that. Talk to me about what? There's $800 left. I need to pay tuition. Honey, your father and I made a decision. We invested your remaining college fund money into Kyle's business. I actually couldn't speak for a moment. You did what? Kyle has a wonderful opportunity. He's starting a protein shake company. It's going to be huge. He needed capital. That's my college money. Grandma and Grandpa left that for my education. And we'll pay you back once Kyle's business takes off. This is an investment in the family's future. What about my future? How am I supposed to pay tuition? You can take out student loans like everyone else. Kyle's opportunity can't wait. Kyle dropped out of college. He's never succeeded at anything. That's not fair, Mom said sharply. Kyle is very intelligent. He just needs the right opportunity. Your father and I believe in him. And you don't believe in me? Of course we do, honey. But you're doing fine. You'll figure it out. You're very resourceful. I hung up and immediately called my dad. He confirmed everything Mom said. Dad, this is illegal. The trust specifically says the money is for MY education. We're the trustees. We have discretion over distributions. Discretion for MY educational expenses. Not to fund Kyle's protein shake pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme. Don't be dramatic. And we're allowed to make investments with trust funds. We consulted a lawyer. That stopped me. What lawyer? Kyle's friend from high school. He's in law school. Someone who's still in law school told you this was legal? He seemed very knowledgeable. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "I'm getting my own lawyer. This is theft." "It's not theft, it's family. You're being very selfish right now. Kyle's opportunity could set our whole family up for life. I need to pay tuition in 5 days. So get a loan. We'll pay you back with interest once the business takes off." He hung up on me. I sat in my apartment, shaking. This couldn't be happening. My grandparents had left that money specifically for me. They'd watched Kyle drop out of community college. They'd seen him bounce from job to job. They'd known exactly what they were doing when they created separate trusts. And my parents had just given my money to him anyway. I called the university financial aid office, explained my situation. They were sympathetic but clear. Tuition was due in 5 days. If I didn't pay, my classes would be dropped. I could apply for emergency loans, but the process would take weeks. I spent the next 18 hours doing research, called every legal aid organization in the state. Finally got connected with a lawyer who specialized in trust law. Her name was Margaret Chin. "This is absolutely illegal," Margaret said after I explained everything. "The trust document will specify the exact purposes for which funds can be distributed. If it says education only, then your parents have breached their fiduciary duty as trustees." "Can we get the money back?"
Yes.
"We'll need to file an emergency petition with the probate court. Given that you have tuition due in days, we can request an emergency hearing." "How much will this cost?" "My retainer is $5,000. If we win, and we can request that your parents pay your legal fees as part of the judgment." I didn't have $5,000, but I had credit cards. I put the retainer on credit and prayed this would work. Margaret moved fast. She got a copy of the trust document from the bank. It was crystal clear. Funds were to be used solely and exclusively for the direct educational expenses of the beneficiary, including but not limited to tuition, fees, room, board, books, and other costs directly related to pursuing a college or graduate degree. There was no provision for investing in a sibling's business. Margaret filed the emergency petition that afternoon. She requested immediate suspension of my parents as trustees, appointment of the bank as temporary trustee, full accounting of all withdrawals, return of all improperly distributed funds, my attorney's fees. The hearing was set for 3 days later, the day before my tuition was due. I called my parents to tell them I'd lawyered up. Dad answered, "I filed a legal petition against you and Mom. There's a court hearing on Friday." "You what?" "You stole from me. You violated the trust. I'm taking you to court." Jesus Christ, we're your parents. This is what Kyle was talking about. You're jealous of him. I'm not jealous. I want my money that was left to me. We'll see you in court then. And don't expect us to pay for anything ever again. You weren't paying anyway. You stole my college fund. He hung up. I went to class the next day, but couldn't focus. I kept running scenarios in my head. What if I lost? What if the judge sided with my parents? What if I ended up with no money and a $5,000 legal bill and no parents? Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. The hearing was at 10 a.m. Friday. Tuition was due by 5 p.m. Friday. Margaret and I met at the courthouse at 9:30. She was calm, organized, prepared. I was a nervous wreck. My parents showed up at 9:55 with Kyle. No lawyer. Apparently, the law student friend had told them they didn't need one. We went before Judge Anderson. Margaret presented our case. She laid out the trust language, the withdrawal history, the lack of any educational purpose, my imminent tuition deadline. The judge looked at my parents. "Did you authorize these withdrawals?" "Yes, Your Honor," Dad said. "For what purpose?" "Our son's business venture." "The beneficiary's brother?" "Yes." "And where in the trust document does it authorize you to fund the beneficiary's brother's business?" Dad fumbled. "Well, it doesn't explicitly say we can't. It explicitly says the funds are for educational expenses only. It lists permissible expenses. Business investments are not on that list." The judge turned to Margaret. "What's the total amount of improper distributions?" $126,418.68, Your Honor." The judge turned back to my parents. "Where is that money now?" Kyle spoke up. It's been invested in inventory, marketing, LLC formation costs. So it's gone. Not gone. It's working capital. The business will. I didn't ask about your business projections. I asked where the money is. Can you return it today? Kyle went pale. Not all of it. Not today. But over time. Over time is not acceptable. The beneficiary has tuition due in 7 hours. The judge looked at the papers in front of him. This is one of the clearest cases of trustee breach I've seen. The language is unambiguous. The misappropriation is undeniable. He looked at my parents. I'm ordering the following. First, you are immediately removed as trustees. The bank will take over trust administration. Second, you will return $126,418.68 to the trust account within 30 days. If the money has been spent, you will need to liquidate personal assets, take out loans, or otherwise secure the funds. Third, you will pay the petitioner's attorney fees, which currently total $5,000. Fourth, if you fail to return the funds within 30 days, the petitioner can pursue collection against your personal assets, including liens on your home. Do you understand? My mom started crying. We can't come up with $126,000 in 30 days. You should have thought of that before you stole from your daughter's college fund. We didn't steal. We're family. You violated a legal trust. That's theft under the law, regardless of your relationship. He banged his gavel. I'm also referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges. Wait, criminal charges? Margaret leaned over. Theft from a trust can be prosecuted as a felony, she whispered. The judge continued. For the immediate crisis of today's tuition, I'm ordering that you, Mr. Patterson, will personally deliver a cashier's check for $15,000 to the university bursar's office by 3 p.m. today. That should cover this semester's tuition. I don't have $15,000. Then get a cash advance on a credit card. Take out a personal loan. Sell something. I don't care. But that money will be delivered by 3 p.m. or I will hold you in contempt. Am I clear? Yes, Your Honor, Dad mumbled. Good. Court is adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom in a daze. Margaret was grinning. That went better than I expected. He referred them for criminal prosecution. He did. That's rare, but this was especially egregious. Your parents stole over $126,000 from you. That's a felony amount. Will they actually be charged? Maybe. Depends on the DA. But the threat alone might motivate them to return the money faster. My dad found me in the hallway. Are you happy now? Am I happy? You stole my college fund. We were trying to help Kyle. He's struggling. You're doing fine. I was doing fine because I had a college fund. Mom was crying on Kyle's shoulder. Kyle looked furious. You really screwed us, he said to me. I screwed you? You stole my money. It was a loan. We were going to pay you back. With what? Your protein shakes. This is why you'll never succeed, Kyle sneered. You don't understand business. You don't take risks. I take plenty of risks. I just don't take them with other people's money. A court officer told us to take it outside. In the parking lot, Dad pulled me aside. We can't get $126,000 in 30 days. We'll have to sell the house. Then sell it. That's our home. And that was my education. Fine. Fine. But don't expect us to be there for you after this. You've chosen money over family. You chose Kyle over me. You literally told me he was more likely to succeed. Dad's face twisted. Because you're just going to get some engineering degree and work for someone else your whole life. Kyle is going to build something. He's going to be somebody. And there it was. The truth I'd always known, but they'd never said out loud. They'd never believed in me. They'd always loved Kyle more. The money was just proof. I got in my car and left. Update 1. Tuition paid and family meltdown 1 week later. Dad delivered the cashier's check at 2:47 p.m., 13 minutes before the deadline. I know because the bursar's office called me to confirm. My tuition was paid. I was still enrolled. Margaret said my parents had taken out a cash advance on 3 different credit cards. The interest was going to be brutal. Good. The family group chat, which I'd forgotten to leave, exploded that weekend. Mom, I hope you're proud of yourself. Your father and I are drowning in debt because of you. Kyle, this is so typical. You always have to be the victim. Aunt Sarah, Dad's sister, what happened? Mom, Emma sued us and now we're losing our house. Aunt Sarah, why would she sue you? Me, because they stole my $127,000 college fund and gave it to Kyle for his protein shake business. The judge ordered them to return it. Uncle Mike, they did what? Kyle, it wasn't stealing, it was an investment. Aunt Sarah, in what universe is that legal? Dad, we were the trustees. We had discretion. Aunt Sarah, Jim, I'm a CPA. That's not how trusts work. At all. Mom, of course you'd take her side. Aunt Sarah, I'm not taking sides. I'm stating facts. If the trust said education only, you can't give the money to Kyle. Kyle, whatever. My business would have made all of us rich. Uncle Mike, would have? Past tense. Kyle, the business is fine. Just experiencing some cash flow issues. Me, so the money's gone. Kyle, it's invested. Aunt Sarah, Kyle, how much of the $127,000 do you still have? Kyle, that's not relevant. Uncle Mike, that means none. He has none. I left the group chat after that. But Aunt Sarah called me directly. Emma, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were doing this. It's not your fault. Your grandparents would be furious. They specifically set up those trusts to prevent exactly this kind of thing. They knew Jim and Linda played favorites. Did they tell you that? Your grandmother told me herself before she passed. She said, Kyle is charming but unfocused. Emma is the one who'll actually do something with her life. I want to make sure she has the resources to do it. She set up those trusts with ironclad language specifically so Jim and Linda couldn't favor Kyle. I started crying. I wish she was here. Me too, honey. Me too. Aunt Sarah offered to lend me money if I needed it. I thanked her, but said the court order should cover everything. The next day, I got a call from Detective Harrison with the DA's office. They were moving forward with criminal charges against my parents for felony theft. We take trust violations very seriously, he said, especially when it involves a vulnerable beneficiary. I'm not really vulnerable. You're a college student dependent on that trust. That makes you vulnerable in legal terms. Your parents abuse their position of power. That's textbook elder abuse. Well, trustee abuse in this case. He asked if I'd testify. I said yes. Update 2. Kyle's business collapses 3 weeks later. Kyle's protein shake business lasted exactly 19 days after the court hearing. Turns out he'd used my college money to form an LLC, $1,500, design a logo, $800, order 10,000 units of private label protein powder from China, $47,000, rent a warehouse space for 6 months up front, $12,000, buy a used van for deliveries, $8,500, marketing expenses, which apparently meant Instagram ads that got 0 conversions, $31,000, pay himself a CEO salary for 3 months, $24,000. The remaining money had been spent on business meals, aka Kyle eating out, networking events, aka bars and office supplies, aka a PlayStation 5 and new gaming chair. The protein powder arrived from China and was immediately seized by customs. Apparently, Kyle hadn't checked FDA regulations. The powder wasn't approved for sale in the US. It was stuck in customs, racking up storage fees. The warehouse lease was non-refundable. Kyle had no product to store in it. The van broke down after 2 weeks. Turned out it had a cracked engine block. Repair cost $6,000. Kyle didn't have it. The business was dead before it started. My $127,000 was gone. Evaporated. Wasted. When Margaret told me this, I actually laughed. It was either laugh or cry, and I'd already cried enough. Can we get any of it back? We're working on it. The van can be sold for parts. The LLC can be dissolved, and any assets liquidated. But realistically, maybe $15,000 if we're lucky. So, my parents have to come up with $111,000. Correct. They can't. No, they can't. Which is why we're moving to place a lien on their house. A lien. On my childhood home, where my parents still lived. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. They'd done this to themselves. Update 3. The criminal trial, 2 months later. The DA charged both my parents with felony theft, over $100,000, breach of fiduciary duty, felony, fraud. They pleaded not guilty. Their new attorney, a real one this time, paid for with a second mortgage, tried to argue that they'd had implied authority to invest trust funds. The DA destroyed that argument in about 30 seconds by reading the trust document aloud in court. The trial lasted 2 days. I testified. It was awful. I had to sit there and explain to a courtroom full of strangers how my parents chose my brother over me. How they told me he was more likely to succeed. How they'd stolen my future to fund his fantasy. My mom cried the entire time. My dad looked angry. Kyle wasn't even there. He'd apparently moved in with a friend because the energy at home was too negative. The defense attorney tried to paint me as vindictive. Isn't it true you've always been jealous of your brother? No. Isn't it true you resented the attention your parents gave him? I resented that they stole from me. That's not the same thing. But you went straight to court instead of trying to work this out as a family. They stole $127,000. What was there to work out? The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was set for a month later. Update 4. The reckoning 3 months later. Sentencing day. The judge gave my parents 2 years in prison, suspended, meaning no jail time if they followed the terms, 5 years probation, full restitution of $126 for $18.68, 5,000 fine to the state, 200 hours community service each. The terms of probation included: cannot serve as trustee or fiduciary for anyone, must make monthly restitution payments, must attend financial management classes, cannot have any contact with me unless I initiate it. That last one was my request. The DA added it to the terms. My dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. My mom couldn't stop crying. Their lawyer was already talking about appeals. After sentencing, the judge asked to speak to me privately in his chambers. Ms. Patterson, I want you to know that you did the right thing. I know it's hard to take legal action against family, but your parents committed serious crimes. They stole from you. The fact that you're related doesn't make it less serious. It makes it more serious. They were in a position of trust. Thank you, Your Honor. I have daughters your age. If someone stole their futures, I'd want them to fight back just like you did. You should be proud of yourself. I left the courthouse and went straight to Margaret's office. We'd gotten the house lien in place. The lien was for $126,418.68 plus my attorney fees, which were now up to $12,000. They'll have to sell the house, Margaret said. There's no other way. They can't get a home equity loan with this lien in place, and they can't afford the restitution payments on their income. How long do I have to wait? We can force a sale in 90 days if they don't make payment arrangements. Do it. 2 weeks later, my parents listed the house. It sold in 6 days for $340,000. After paying off their existing mortgage and the lien, they cleared about $85,000. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment across town. My mom called me from a block number. I hope you're happy. We're living in a tiny apartment because of you. You're living in a tiny apartment because you stole from me. We're your parents. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. And then you stole $127,000 from me and told me Kyle deserved it more because he's more likely to succeed. Don't call me again. I blocked every number I could think of. Update 5. 6 months later. I'm halfway through my senior year. My college fund has been fully restored, $126 for $18.68, plus I got my attorney fees back. I'll graduate debt-free with money left over for grad school if I want it. Kyle is working at Home Depot. He posts bitter things on Facebook about how the system crushes entrepreneurs and family betrayal. I have him blocked, but friends screenshot things and send them to me occasionally. My parents are struggling. Dad had to take early retirement because the criminal record made it impossible to find work in his field, financial services. Apparently, felony theft conviction is a deal breaker. Mom works at a department store. I should feel guilty. Everyone says I should feel guilty. Relatives call and text saying, "They're your parents, you have to forgive them." But I don't have to do anything. They made their choices. I'm living with my choices. They're living with theirs. I'm in therapy, processing a lot of feelings about family, favoritism, betrayal. My therapist says I did everything right. She says setting boundaries and protecting yourself isn't cruel, it's necessary. I've reconnected with some family members who supported me, Aunt Sarah, Uncle Mike, a few cousins.
We have dinners sometimes.
They tell me I'm strong. I'm not sure I feel strong. I just feel tired. But I'm graduating in May. With honors.
Debt-free.
With my future intact. My grandparents would be proud. Final update. Graduation 1 year later. I graduated yesterday. Summa cum laude. 3.9 GPA. Job offer from a major tech company starting at $95,000 a year. Aunt Sarah and Uncle Mike came to the ceremony. So did a few cousins. My roommate's parents, who'd basically adopted me, came too. My best friend Rachel flew in from California. My parents weren't there. They weren't invited. After the ceremony, Aunt Sarah pulled me aside. Your grandmother would be so incredibly proud of you. I wish she could have seen this. She knew. She knew exactly what you were capable of. That's why she set up the trust the way she did. She was protecting you from this. Aunt Sarah handed me an envelope. She left this with me. She told me to give it to you when you graduated. Inside was a letter in my grandmother's handwriting, dated 2 months before she died. Dearest Emma, if you're reading this, you've graduated from college. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. I always knew you would do great things. I'm sure by now you've discovered that life isn't always fair, and families aren't always kind. I set up your trust with very specific language because I know your parents. I know how they are with Kyle. I love your mother, but she's always babied him, and your father has always believed Kyle's potential over your proven excellence. I wanted to make sure you had the resources to succeed no matter what. I hope the trust has served you well. I hope you never had to fight for what was rightfully yours. But if you did have to fight, I hope you won. You deserve to win. You deserve every good thing. I love you. I believe in you. I'm proud of you. Go do amazing things. Love, Grandma. I stood there crying, holding this letter from beyond the grave from a woman who'd known exactly what would happen and tried to protect me anyway. She'd been right about everything. The company I'm working for starts in 2 months. I'm moving to Seattle. New city, new life, new beginning. I changed my phone number. I have no contact with my parents or Kyle. The probation terms say they can't contact me anyway, but I'm not taking chances. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever reconcile with them. If there will be some moment in the future where we all sit down and they finally, truly apologize. Where they admit they were wrong. Where they acknowledge the damage they did. I don't think that day is coming. My therapist asked me, what would you need to hear from them to consider forgiveness? I thought about it. I'd need them to admit that they never believed in me. That they always thought Kyle was better. That they stole from me not just financially but emotionally my whole childhood. They stole my sense of worth. And I'd need them to understand that what they did was evil. Not a mistake. Not a misunderstanding. Evil. Do you think they're capable of that kind of honesty?
No.
Then you have your answer. So, I'm moving on. Building a life they're not part of. Making a family from friends who actually value me. I'm 22 years old, starting a 6-figure job, debt-free, with my future wide open. Kyle is 26, living in my parents' cramped apartment, working retail, and blaming everyone but himself for his failures. My parents chose wrong. They bet on the wrong kid. And they lost everything because of it. I didn't ruin their lives. They ruined their own lives trying to give Kyle mine. To anyone dealing with family financial abuse, document everything, get a lawyer, and don't let anyone guilt you into accepting theft because family. Your future matters. Your dreams matter. And people who truly love you don't steal from you, no matter how they're related to you. I got my happy ending. I hope you get yours too. Edit. A lot of people are asking if Kyle ever apologized.
No.
He sent me one text after I graduated that said, "Congrats, I guess. Must be nice having everyone on your side. Some of us have to work for things." I didn't respond. Edit 2. For everyone asking about the protein powder stuck in customs, it's still there as far as I know, racking up fees. Kyle abandoned it. The government will eventually destroy it. $47,000 worth of powder, gone. That's the business acumen my parents thought was more promising than my engineering degree. Edit 3. Yes, I'm in therapy. No, I'm not interested in healing the family. Some things don't need to be healed. Some things need to be left behind. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Knowing other people understood that I wasn't crazy, wasn't cruel, and wasn't wrong helped more than you know.